So last year in 2024, I had a video that went viral and there were a ton of comments on it, like a crazy amount of views, and then a bunch of YouTubers responded to it. And go figure, there are still comments coming in on that video to this day. So we read every comment. We discuss every comment here in-house within the aviation department, and I am more than happy to continue to respond to these comments as they come in. So without further ado, here we go. This one, Andy BND, says it's not the act of flying a plane that's stressful. It's shifting sleep schedules, the time away from family, and the work-life balance. I completely agree with that. Yeah, I think for most professional pilots, you're exactly right. Flying an airplane is not stressful. It's more of a release, and it's our time to disconnect, and we get to do what we're trained to do and what we love to do. Yeah, the sleep schedule is rough, especially when you switch to flying nights. I just recently came off of flying nights, and it is hard to go nights and day and to shift that rhythm, especially when you're going from time zone to time zone to time zone. Your body's kind of playing catch up. So yeah, I agree. That's a fair statement. This one is H2O Ski Addict. Funny, most of the pilots I talk to say the drive home from the Atlanta airport is the most stressful and dangerous part of their day. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Why is Atlanta so crazy? That airport is so, it's like so remote, and I feel like they just kept making highways that go around it. And like, you think you're on the road to the rental car place, but really that's not the rental car place. That's the rental car place for domestic, not the rental car place for international. I agree. Yeah, Atlanta needs some work. Give me a shout, Atlanta, if you want to talk about it. More than happy to get down into that. Plane is doing 99% of the work in modern aircraft. That's an interesting take. So this is from Will Oliphant. Plane is doing 99% of the work. So, like, generous, but I'll give you that the plane is doing a lot, especially when you get into the larger commercial aircraft and we're talking about RVSM and above and we're flying on autopilot. Yeah, the plane is doing a lot. But even if we use your percentage, so that 1%, right? You know, as a pilot, you're constantly thinking in your mind, what happens, right? What could happen at that 1% time where I have to respond and I have to make sure that I don't die and everybody behind me doesn't die and people below me don't die. That's a lot. And I don't know that, I think your comment hints on, like, are we getting to the point where eventually we won't have pilots? Maybe, but certainly right now it's pilots are there for the, not only the aircraft management and the aircraft flow, but the what if, right? What happens on that 1% when a pilot's skills are truly called upon? This one says, every time I see this video, I think it's Bryce Harper. That's hilarious. I get that a lot. Appreciate you. He is an amazing player. This one says, I think the pilots should be able to get the help they need without fear. Mental health is just as important as physical health, and the current system can discourage honesty. There has to be a better balance between safety and support. You're exactly right. And I think this kind of leads into a comment that I get a lot. And it's, Joe, it kind of seems like this system is built that I'm screwed if I do, screwed if I don't, right? Like if I get the treatment and I don't report it, I'm screwed. If I don't get the treatment when I need it, I'm screwed. I get that that is the thought process that a lot of people have, but I would still encourage every pilot to go get help if you need help. It is not the same. So not reporting as opposed to reporting and then having the FAA deal with it. Those are two different things completely. And one is absolutely worse than the other. So not reporting and the FAA finds out about it, we're talking about license revocation of literally everything in your pocket. FAA Order 2150.3c says that the FAA has the ability, they may, revoke or suspend pilot's license in response to fraudulent or knowingly mistaken information on an 8500 or a MedExpress. So essentially what that translates into is an FAA attorney will revoke every certificate in your pocket. We're talking an AMP, we're talking an IA, we're talking UAS commercial operators, and then obviously commercial, ATP, CFI, all that good stuff. That all is going to disappear if the FAA finds out that you've lied to them in a medical application. As opposed to if you do report and it is, your medical is deferred, there is a road back. And once you get back, You don't have to constantly look over your shoulder thinking my career is about to end and every certificate that I've worked so hard for in my pocket is about to disappear. So one is definitely worse than the other. It's worth addressing the problem. Let's see. Not just mental health, but physical health also. It's more like flying 16 hours, not 4. You're exactly right. For the long haul pilots, a lot of people don't think about this, but sitting still for that long really takes its toll. And it is important for pilots to develop a physical health as well as a mental health to make sure that we avoid stuff like blood clots, heart attack, strokes, stuff like that. Muscle inactivity, the buildup of lactic acid, rhabdo, believe it or not, can occur, especially on long haul pilots. So I completely agree with that. Important to keep moving. And then of course, a plane doesn't defy physics or gravity. This is why it went viral, is because I think I said something like, a plane is out there defying gravity or defying physics, one of the two. Obviously not the point of the video. The point was on mental health. But does a plane defy gravity? I don't know, maybe, because gravity is constantly pulling things to Earth, and we do have the lift that has to overcome gravity, and we're constantly dealing with gravity in an attempt to overcome gravity. Like for example, when we bank, right? And we put those lift vectors out to the side more angular and we're not fighting gravity square on. We have to pull back, right? We have to develop a load, a G-force load to try and fight gravity. So does it defy gravity? I guess not. Does it fight gravity? Sure. Physics, does it defy physics? I love this. As a flight instructor, I used to get asked all the time, how does a plane fly? And my answer was always magic. To this day, NASA still has the rolling ball theory, and then obviously the FAA has the Bernoulli principle with the high-low pressure split over the wing and the camber. There's still a lot of theories out there of how an aircraft actually flies. So while it's important to know all those different theories, and certainly fun to chat about them all, do we really know? I don't know. Leave a comment in there. I love that. I think this opens up a good conversation about, what do you think, rolling ball theory? Do you think Bernoulli's principle, is it magic? I think it's magic. Ooh, Laylee 2427, she says facts, and then maybe they could address the culture of alcoholism. So the culture of alcoholism in piloting. This goes all the way back. There's SNL episodes from the 70s talking about drunk airline pilots. It is 100% part of the culture, and it is a stereotype that pilots fight all the time. But I love this, that it says, can we address that culture? Why does that culture exist? Why does the culture of alcoholism exist in our industry? Because it certainly does. And I think this stems back, personally, my personal opinion is, I think this stems to mental health. Because pilots have not been able to get the mental health treatment that they need, that they want, that they should be able to get. So they self-medicate, right? Because they know that they can't use the medication that helps depression, anxiety, in most instances, although now obviously that is changing. But for the longest time, they weren't able to use any medications. They weren't able to admit anxiety. They weren't able to admit depression, situational anxiety, social depression, anything like that. They weren't able to admit that, and they weren't able to get treatment for that. So they did the one thing that they were allowed to do, which was drink. So self-medicate, removing themselves mentally from the situation that they're in. Now, the reason why I support that theory, and that's what I think has been happening for so many years, is because for a vast majority of our clients, when the FAA tells a pilot, you're done drinking, do not drink, you have to remain abstinent, they're able to do it no problem. Now, how many people do you know that are actual alcoholics and addicts who go cold turkey and then stay abstinent? Most of them will relapse 2 or 3 times, right? And I can say a vast majority of our clients that are asked to be abstinent have no problem doing so. Because it wasn't drinking that was the problem. It was the mental health that was the problem. So great comment. That's super interesting. This one says, pretty sure planes don't defy physics or gravity. We addressed that. It continues to plague me. You don't worry about the 200 souls behind you. You worry about yourself. The schedule and the constant training and checking and company stuff is the stressor. Absolutely. The environment around flying is definitely a stressor. The cockpit is the release. I agree. This one says, and air traffic controllers, with a bunch of exclamation points. You're right. Yeah, the focus has always been on pilots, and mental health. And oftentimes we forget about the air traffic controllers, but they operate under the exact same standards. They have to have a class 2 medical, and they have the exact same stigmas about mental health that pilots face. So I agree. Let's not forget about air traffic controllers and bring them into the conversation as often as possible, because we are a team up there. This one just says, it's not the plane, it's the pilot. from Top Gun Maverick. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's correct. This one says, Austin says, what's stressful is coming home to your nagging wife. Flying the plane, taking naps is not stressful. Please. Are you kidding me? Man, that's a rough take. Good luck. This says, most pilots are drug addicts. Caffeine, sleep aids, it's a brutal lifestyle. I wish I could say that's not the case, but that is a rampant issue in our industry. Just go to any flight safety, CAE, SimCom. That coffee machine is swamped throughout the entire day on a simulator that's running 23 hours a day. You're right. That is an issue, and certainly a stressor, something that we're all trying to deal with. This one says, I know someone who seems to be okay. They don't complain. They like it. I don't know if they're honest. That's the problem, is I don't know either. And a lot of people don't know either. And the public riding behind that pilot doesn't know either. That's what this is all about, is so that you can know. And so that a pilot can say to the FAA, hey, I'm dealing with stress, I'm dealing with anxiety, I'm dealing with depression, I just lost a loved one and I'm grieving. This whole push, this whole movement for mental health in aviation is so people can know, right? Is so a pilot can admit that and get treatment and get help and safely return back to the cockpit. Because at the end of that, the passenger knows. The passenger knows that that pilot sitting up front is physically and mentally capable to safely fly that flight that day. Thank you so much for continuing to comment on this video. A lot of people don't think it, but we do read all the comments and we love to chat about those comments internally. The attorneys go back and forth on them and it opens up a fantastic conversation. So please comment. We're more than happy to respond and certainly more than happy to do videos like this in the future. If there's something that you want us to chat about or you just want to have an open dialogue about an issue in aviation, more than happy to do that. Thank you so much for watching the videos and thank you for commenting.